What is up, guys? Welcome to the ThinkComputers Weekly Tech Podcast. This is episode 197. And as always, our podcast is brought to you by Amazon. If you go to thinkcomputers.org/Amazon, of course, having to purchase something, that gives us a little kickback and, of course, helps the podcast keep on going. With me this week is my co-host, Ryan. What's up, Ryan?
Not much, just trying to stay warm right now.
Yeah, so you said it's snowing there. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's snowing day before Halloween. It's just kind of chilly out and some flurries. It's not going to stick around, so no big deal. But
yeah, we haven't got to the whole snow thing yet, and I'm kind of dreading it. I'm okay with like sweatshirt weather, but like when you have to like bundle up, I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
So yeah, but as we always say, we do have our full show notes here, guys. It's in the description on the YouTube page, so you guys can follow along with us and go through everything, of course, that we're going to talk about this week. And to start off this week, we have two really awesome products, and one product that I've been wanting to get my hands on for a while, and it is the ASUS ROG Crosshair 8 Hero motherboard. It's the Wi-Fi version. So they have a version that doesn't have Wi-Fi, and they have a version that does have Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi is 802.11ax. So it's pretty much the fastest Wi-Fi you can get right now. And I'm such a fan of the Crosshair series from ASUS anyways. It's been like the staple Ryzen board to get, basically.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, that's what I started out with, the Crosshair 6 Hero on my 1800X, and yeah, I think it's just one of the best featured boards. Feature set, power delivery, all those items.
Yeah, so this board it's really interesting, and it's really awesome to see like ASUS really kind of set the standard when it comes to a lot of things, and we've seen a lot of companies really copy that too. So for one, this board has the rear IO cover, the rear IO shield, which has kind of become standard on a lot of other boards. But then you have like the dedicated AIO pump header, which is something that I think you do see it on Gigabyte boards now, but not on a whole lot of other boards. And this board has a lot of actually LN2 overclocking features that like no other X570 boards had. So if you wanted to do LN2 overclocking, this board actually has it, but it's not necessarily put out as an LN2 overclocking board, which is kind of interesting. But the board design itself, I really like what ASUS has done here. It's kind of like this sort of black and silver design. I'll go to the second page here. It's like this black and silver design that it just looks good. It looks sleek.
Looks high end.
Yeah, it looks high end. When it comes to X570 features, you of course have PCI Express 4.0. You have 3 slots here, plus your 2 M.2s. I would have liked to see 3 M.2s, but there's only 2 on this board. Another thing that I want to point out is this is all one heatsink, but it's actually 3 separate heatsinks. We saw on the ASRock X570 Tai Chi that it was a single heatsink, and you had to pull the entire thing off. But with this board, you can, take this heatsink off, install your M.2, or take this heatsink off down here and install your M.2. You don't have to, worry about taking out a graphics card and doing all that kind of stuff.
That's nice.
Which is nice. So yeah, the overall look of the board is really great. Again, you have the PCI Express 4.0 M.2 slots. This board actually supports, it's one of the only boards that supports really high frequency memory. So out of the box, it will support up to 4,800 megahertz memory, which is really impressive.
Yeah.
We actually had a kit that we'll be taking a look at this week that has an XMP Pro 4,400 megahertz, and I didn't have a board that I could test it on because no other board supported that high of frequency. So this board has that. It also has a really interesting power delivery system. So it's a 7+1 power phase design. But it's capable of 840 amps. So that's going to pretty much cover even the upcoming 3950X, which is great. And especially if you're overclocking, it's going to cover all of that. And you do get the extra 4-pin. So again, as I said, this board's like made for LN2 overclocking. you actually get the extra 4-pin, which you'll need for LN2 overclocking, because your 8-pin is basically going to give you about 384 watts, and you're going to need the extra power, especially if you're overclocking on LN2. So you have the extra right
And it
there.
looks like it's got the metal reinforcement there.
Yeah, the
on the 8-pin, right?
Yeah, the 8-pin does have it.
Okay.
Most people will be using the 8-pin. There's only a select few that will be using the 4-pin. So
right, that makes sense.
And another cool thing about LN2 overclocking is if you look at the CPU socket, it's kind of hard to see, but definitely be hard to see on the stream. But there's a little hole right here, and the reason there's a little
back there.
Yeah, so you can most thermal probes, you know, the one that's on the CPU and stuff. When you introduce LN2, it kind of just doesn't read correctly. Yeah. And when you're doing LN2 overclocking, you want the correct reading. So you can actually put a thermocouple through there to do your readings and everything like that. So that's kind of cool too. You don't see that. And again, a lot of these features you just might not ever use, right? But they're there, which is, I think, is really, really cool about this board. Another thing that I love to see, it just, you know, you have your voltage checkpoints here too. Which
next to the 24-pin, yeah.
Yeah, so which is, again, no, I don't think I'll ever use those, but for people who want that, they're there. Power and reset on the board too, which is really nice. We use all of our stuff in a test bench, so it just saves time, so I don't have to connect it to the power button and all that. And then if we come down to the bottom here, we have some other things that, again, it's like only found on ASUS, you know, a lot of higher end ASUS boards. First, you do have an LN2 mode jumper. Basically, what this will do is this is going to enable LN2 presets. So yeah, you could go in the BIOS and change a bunch of things, but this will actually do it all for you. So that's kind of cool. You have a safe boot button. So this is for if you're doing a bunch of overclocking and you're changing settings and you're going back and forth, go into the BIOS, go back. And then for some reason your system doesn't boot. Typically, you would have to clear your BIOS out. So you would have to clear all the settings that you've spent an hour changing, right? Which would be really annoying. The safe boot actually allows you to get into the BIOS and save those settings, which is really cool. So yeah, and then you have slow mode, which is this. It's not a switch. Yeah, it's a switch over here. This basically runs the processor at its slowest available speed. Again, not a whole lot. Like, again, not a lot of people will use that, but it's there. And then you see these. It looks like an RGB header, but these are actually flow meters that your motherboard can read for water cooling equipment. So that's, again, kind of cool that this is on this board. You know, I want to cover that stuff because I think that's super cool that those things are just there by default. Right. And I don't, you're not really paying a super big premium for them either. This board is on the more.
It's one of the more expensive, isn't it?
Yeah, but you're getting a lot. You are getting Wi-Fi 6, which brings the cost of the board up. Most Wi-Fi 6 boards that we reviewed are over 300, just like this one is. And you are getting 2.5 gig LAN too. Which is, you know,
and that's dual NICs, right? You have the 2.5 and the you have a gig Ethernet as well.
2.5 and 1 gig. You also get a load of USB on this. You were talking, we previously talked, I think last week, saying that, you know, if you were to upgrade, you know, your system, you need a motherboard that has all of this USB connectivity.
Yeah, I'm just one of those people that wants to plug right into the board and not use a hub. So that's why I love the Crosshair that I've got now. This one would probably be a great replacement for it. Yeah, I just love seeing all those USB ports.
Yeah, so you have 4 USB 3.1 Gen 1s, and then a total of 8 USB 3.2 Gen 2s. 7 of them are Type A, and then you have the Type C there. And this board actually has optical out. If you'll see, a lot of boards don't have that anymore. Yeah. So it's nice to have that if that's something you'll make use of as well. And you have your BIOS flashback and clear CMOS buttons on the back. Another awesome thing there too. Really great board. It performed really well. Easily able to overclock. VRM cooling wasn't an issue with this board. We've seen on some other boards. It does have RGB lighting. It's kind of just like toned back a little bit, which I kind of like. like the Hero logo lights up right there, and then you just have the ROG logo down here. And I did like that the ROG logo is below where your graphics card is going to be, so it's actually going to show. It's not going to be covered up. We've seen some other boards where like the RGB lighting just gets covered up, and it's
right.
You know, because most people will be installing at least one graphics card. But yeah, I think this is, like I said, this is a really great board. It is expensive, but I think with all of the features, if you're a regular user, I think just the USB ports are going to make it worth it, and the Wi-Fi if that's what you want as well. It's a completely solid board, very well cooled. It can support super high frequency memory. If you're an overclocker, you're absolutely going to love this board because you have the output of the VRMs, you have the extra overclocking things, you have all of that. So it's just a great board overall. I gave it a 9 out of 10. The only things that I would have liked in this price point, I would have liked to see 3 M.2 slots. The platform supports it, so
why not put it on?
Yeah, why not put it on? Secondly, is that the software is just kind of all over the place. I go into that in the review. Basically, they have this thing called Armory Crate that will automatically install when you connect to the internet, which I like for most beginners. And then that downloads all of your software and stuff. But there's all these different applications. There's like AI Suite 3. There's Easy Update.
Yeah.
I would just like them all to be together in one app, not like all these different apps that do different things, or like one app with modules inside it that you can install or enable. It's just an AI Suite 3 is like 6 years old, I think.
It is. I'm surprised it's still the one that they utilize.
Yeah, and if you look at some of the other software from other companies, they've kind of caught up, and some of them are even better in my opinion. So like looking at it now, AI Suite 3 just looks dated, and for being Motherboard companion software and being basically the #1 motherboard brand, it doesn't look good, and I think they need something new. So hopefully we see that in the future. Hopefully we see at least incorporated into the Armory Crate, so I don't have to open a bunch of different apps or download a bunch of different apps.
Random question, but if you're a user that doesn't need the wireless, do you know what the price on the non-wireless is?
I didn't look.
It's got to be a little cheaper, I'm guessing, but probably not a lot. That's all right. I was just curious if you do.
I didn't look. It's not. It's probably, this is $379, maybe $359. I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
That's okay. Sorry, I'm always throwing out these crazy questions for you.
No,
$359.
That's a good guess then. That's a pretty good guess on my part.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you don't need the Wi-Fi, save 20 more bucks. Or $30. That's my bad math. Anyways, back to our second review this week, which I actually have in front of me, so I can show you guys. It is this graphics card right here. This is the MSI GeForce RTX 2070 Super Gaming X, long name. Not the longest that we've seen. So it's an RTX 20 Super. It's MSI's Gaming X. And if you know the Gaming X, you know what this looks like.
Looks like a Gaming X card.
It looks like a Gaming X card. What's kind of surprising to me about this card is that it only has a 30 megahertz overclock, which isn't that much.
Yeah, that's pretty minimal.
I know NVIDIA kind of locked these cards down a little bit. But one thing it does have is their cooling solution. This is called, I think it's called the Twin Frozer 7 now. Cooling solution. Out of a lot of the cards I reviewed lately, it is one of the best, and it's one of the quietest as well. So under full load, it's 65 degrees Celsius, and very quiet, very, very quiet. When other cards usually get over 70 degrees and are decently loud, this one is not, which I like. And again, it's a heavy card. It feels good. I really like what MSI has done here. You do have RGB lighting, which I'll go over in a second. And then on the back, you do have the full metal backplate, which is great to see with the MSI logo there. I'll go into the review and I'll show you guys the RGB lighting. It's not all that, there's not a whole lot of RGB, and I think a lot of companies are kind of scaling back on that, actually, which I think is a good thing. You can kind of see it in this picture. You just have like little RGB here, and then at the MSI logo on the side of the card. We'll go into think it's on this page.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. Them scaling back some of the lighting on products is nice. Actually putting some thought instead of just throwing lights wherever they could on the
Yeah.
product.
Yeah, so you have like the MSI logo that lights up, and then you have these little accents that kind of go around the fans, and I think it looks great. It brings attention to the card, but it doesn't overshadow everything else in your system, which I like. But when it comes to the RTX 2070 Super, obviously a slight upgrade over the 2070. It's going to be I would say it is the 1440p card. Like, it is the card that's going to play 1440p game, like AAA titles at 1440p at very high frame rates. It's the card if you want to, like, if you want the best performance. I wouldn't say best performance, because obviously there's cards that will do even better, but the best bang for your buck for 1440p is the 2070 Super. In most of our tests, it did beat the 5700 XT. It all depends on which game is optimized better for which architecture and all that kind of stuff. But I just think MSI has done a really great job. I really like that they've continually upgraded their cooling. Again, this is Twin Frozer 7, like the 7th generation of this cooler. And they've done a lot to really, you can go to the product page and see what they've done. But they've done a lot to really make this a quiet cooler, to make it very efficient. And I really noticed that in this review.
So what size fans are those? They're about,
I think they're 9 or
92s.
90.
They look bigger than 92, but
I believe they're 90s. 290s.
Okay.
But yeah, like I said, I really like this card. I think MSI has done a great job on it. The only things that I didn't like is we get the small factory overclock, Yeah. But there's no overclock on the memory, which is kind of a bummer. And the power limit on the card is lower than the reference card, which means when you go to overclock, you're not going to be able to dial in the exact frequency that you want, because it's based on the power limit. So if you were planning on an overclocking, it might not be the best card for that. But if you're just throwing this in your system, I think it's going to be great. It's going to look great. It's going to perform great. And it's going to be very quiet, which I think is important to a lot of people. So yes, like I said, it's a solid RTX 2070 Super. Definitely check out the review. It is $549.99, so it's a $49 premium with a tiny little overclock that you get. You're really paying, I think, mainly for the better cooling solution, and of course RGB lighting and things like that. In my opinion, because I'm all about acoustics, I really am, because I've had cards and I'm playing a video game and I have headphones on like I do now.
Oh yeah, and you hear it over it.
I hear the card and it's not pleasant, especially when you're gaming. I really think the acoustics make this card. It's just
absolutely
very silent card. And it's impressive. I mean, we put full load on this thing and it's just sits at 65 degrees Celsius, just sits there. It doesn't spike up or anything. And we don't hear the fans ramp up. And of course, this uses the idle fan stop, or I believe they call it zero frozer, but the fans will actually turn off when there's not a high load on the GPU either. Yeah. So it's basically silent in pretty much when you're not gaming. So just a great card. Like I said, I definitely a fan, and definitely one that I would recommend to people if you're looking for a 2070 Super.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah, really good card. And we'll move on to our video for the week. And I actually did a BIOS overview for for the motherboard I just reviewed. So the Crosshair 8 Hero, I did a BIOS overview. And you guys really like these because I don't know what it is. I just do basically a walkthrough of the BIOS. And these videos you guys just love. So I keep on putting them out there. I think it's just because people want to see what the BIOS is like, maybe what settings they have and everything like that. So I go over the BIOS. I show you how easy it is to enable your XMP profiles, how easy it is to, manually overclock and things like that. So that's the video for this week. I won't go into it all that much because, again, I want you guys to watch it. So it's on YouTube. We have the link in the show notes. So definitely go ahead and check that out. And also another thing that I didn't put in our show notes, but I I should, is that we still have our contest going on.
Oh yeah,
Cooler Master. If I can bring it up here, let's see here. So we are giving away their ML240p Mirage and their MWE Gold 750 watt modular power supply. So you're going to get both things. It's not one person wins one thing, one person wins something else. You're actually going to get both, which is really cool. So you can see there's a ton of ways to enter, 16 different ways to enter, still 17 days left. So a lot of time to get your entry in. It's real simple. We do it all through Gleam and everything like that. But here's the AIO. So it's an RGB AIO for all the RGB fans out there. And then you're getting a nice 750 watt power supply, fully modular as well. I will put this in the show notes after. I forgot to put it in. So I'll make sure I put the link to this in the show notes so you guys can go ahead and get your entry in. If you're watching us on the stream now, you just go to contest and it's the first one right there under the contest page. So definitely check that out because it's pretty cool stuff that you're gonna win for free. So yeah, and we'll move on to news. And we had another super release this week, which I'm not sure if it makes a whole lot of sense.
We've been talking about it the last 2 weeks as a rumored launch, but now it's here. So
yeah, so we have the NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1660 Super. So this will slot in after the original 1660. And the only difference is that it has the memory has been upgraded to GDDR6. So it's 14 gigabit GDDR6 memory. It's completely the same card as the 1660 with newer memory. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It runs at the same speeds. It has the same amount of CUDA cores. It is essentially the same card with faster,
just better memory.
Yeah. Again, we think that NVIDIA is putting this card out just to preemptively put something out there before the AMD RX 5500 series comes out. Because I think from what we've heard, AMD in their internal documents is really saying that the 5500 series beats out the GTX 1660. So,
wow.
So they put this out to say that it couldn't, which is one thing that's interesting is the 6 gigabytes of GDDR6 runs at 14 gigabit, where the 1660 Ti, their memory is actually slower. But this slots in between the 1660 and 1660 Ti because the 1660 Ti runs at a faster speed.
Need a matrix to figure out what card you want.
Need you need
right.
Yeah, you need something. So you have a 1660, you have a 1660 Super, and then you have a 1660 Ti.
Right.
You also have a 1650 Super coming out and a 1650. So what is that? 6 cards in the entry level?
5. Right.
5. Okay. Yeah. What? You need 2 cards in the entry level.
Yeah.
I feel.
2 is good.
So yeah, it's very confusing. It's all about, it seems, and we'll talk about Intel and AMD with this.
I mean, I guess they're gonna have a price point for everybody.
What's interesting about this is that it's $10 more than the 1660. 10.
Like
that's not enough to make it like a thing.
Right.
Because if I'm like, it's $10 more, I'm just gonna even if I was in high school and I worked at a fast food restaurant, I can save $10, I feel, to get the better card.
Yeah.
Whereas 50 to 75 is a little different if you want to make that purchase. You know what I mean? Yep. $10 difference. I just don't get it. It is a completely partner launched as well. So you're not going to see a founder's edition.
Card,
so that's why we have a picture of the Zotac card here, but everybody has them. I mean, it just makes sense to get it if you're buying now because, but it just, there's 5 cards within $100 of each other, I think.
Yeah.
Like the whole range is $100 difference. It's just very confusing, I think. I don't know what to say.
Too many options. Options are good, but too many options can be overwhelming for someone that's especially just getting in and looking at that price range, right? I see that as being kind of that beginner's budget first entry to PC gaming, and you show up and you're like, there's how many, like 1660 variants?
Is that it's like 3% faster than the 1660 because of the memory. I think it's what I saw in reviews that I saw.
Yeah.
So it kind of like NVIDIA is like killing their current customers who bought the 1660. You're like, what? You're putting on another product that's $10 more expensive that gets better performance. You know what I mean? And you're only putting it out so that AMD can't say that it's faster. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm just not a fan. I can't be a fan of it.
Yeah,
for those reasons. But talking about other graphics card news and graphics card news that we've been kind of thinking about is that Intel did finish they call it power on exit for their Xe graphics cards. So these are their discrete graphics cards. For those who don't know, Intel hopes to become another major player in the graphics card market. And they had their Q3 earnings call, and they said that they achieved power on exit for their first discrete GPU, which is their DG1.
It's a big milestone, really.
Yeah. So basically what they did is the power on exit is the post silicon debug technique. Basically, you put the prototype chip on a PCB and see if it powers on and boots, and apparently it did. Which is a good thing. So it shows that they're on the right path. Also, it looks like since that has happened, the developer kits for the DG1 graphics card have been sent out to developers around the world. This was found out because of the European Economy Commission listing that actually lists these in the shipments. These are being called discrete graphics DG1 external FRD1 accessory kit, alpha developer kit, I guess, something like that.
That's crazy.
But that just shows that, like, this kind of shows that, these cards are being sent to developers so they can mess with them and everything like that. And it kind of seems like these GPUs will more than likely launch the middle of 2020. So yeah, I'm like,
that'll be here quick. Like, it's going to be here before we know it. So it'll be interesting to see. I
just don't know if Intel is the company to do this.
To be the third player in the game.
I mean, if it's going to be a company, you need so much money to do this.
If anybody potentially could, I think it could be them.
Yeah. I just don't know if, even with like their enthusiast parts, like their enthusiast CPU parts, they're not like an enthusiast brand. Like, I don't see them like that. You know what I mean? I don't see them as enthusiast brand. And like NVIDIA is like an enthusiast brand, and AMD on the not so much on the graphics card side. But like, I don't. It's going to be interesting to see what Intel does, and they've hired a lot of people. So we'll see.
They do seem kind of like they're just like a business corporate company, not that enthusiast
corporate thing. But they've hired a lot of people who have worked at other companies that So we'll see. But this is a big milestone for them, and I think that's I'm excited. I just like we're seeing with 5 SKUs within $100 and stuff from NVIDIA, just because AMD is going to release a product in that price range. If we have a third player, it's going to get even more interesting, and we might actually see some value as consumers, which I think is a good thing. So I'm excited for that when again, middle of next year, more than likely. But pretty, like I said, pretty interesting, and we'll be following along, and anything we hear, we'll definitely let you guys know. But talking about graphics cards and graphics cards cooling, Andes, I believe that's the name of the company, they released a really cool RGB VGA cooler, and this is not made to go on top of or to replace your existing cooler, even though it looks like it would. It essentially looks like a graphics
supplements card. It, right?
It supplements your cooling, so it again looks like a graphics card, and it slots into a two slot opening, and it has 3 RGB fans, and those will supplement your the cooling. So you could have it here and have it, blowing air on or away if you, however you want to set it up. But you could have it going either way to just bring better cooling to your card. I think the big thing is that it's going to look cool. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think it helps to circulate some of that air inside your case. Different setups are going to, have different benefits from it. Like that image they have there, there's actually 3 cards stacked there. If you look kind of behind the one, you can see the GeForce. Like those top 2 cards aren't going to get as much benefit from it. But, a single card, or if you've, in either of those orientations, I think it'll help move around a little bit of air in your case to just help things along.
Yeah, and I think it's cool. The RGB, it actually comes with a remote to switch the RGBs, but you can connect it to a 3-pin addressable header.
Okay.
And the fans, I believe they work with the controller as well, but if you want to control them with software, they just have a 4-pin fan header as well, so you can control them with your motherboard software. But no word on pricing. I can't assume this is going to be...
It can't be that
super
that crazy.
But it is 3 addressable RGB fans.
And it seems to be pretty like price conservative, okay. I think. So, and I've reviewed some of their cases previously, and they're usually pretty conservative on price. So I don't see this being too outrageous at all.
I just think this is a great addition, especially if you have a case that has the vertical slot and your GPU
and you're not using it. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like if you have multiple GPUs set up, which is very uncommon these days. But if you do, putting it here to circulate that air would be kind of cool. So yeah. So if you're into that, definitely check that out for sure. And we'll move on to CPU news. And the big thing this week is that we finally have the highly binned Intel Core i9 9900KS. It is the fastest or best performing gaming processor out there. More or less, it's a Core i9 9900K that's highly binned so that it has a 5 gigahertz all-core turbo. That's on all cores. All 8 cores will boost up to 5 gigahertz. That, in turn, gives it better performance than I would assume, than the upcoming Ryzen 9 3950X. It beats out, which the 9900K also beat out the 3900X in gaming tasks. It's $513, which isn't a bad price, I think.
That's not bad. No.
Because the 9900K came out at $500, right?
Right.
So extra $13 getting more or less a better piece of silicon, because it has to be highly binned to
hit that speed on all those cores.
Yeah, to hit the speed on all.
And not melt.
What's interesting, though, after seeing some reviews, is that one, Intel apparently is only putting this out for holiday season. Which
I know it's. I mean, they call it special edition, right? But limited as well.
Yeah, I guess it's limited. It's special editions, only available in this holiday season, and it only has a 1-year warranty. Which, at least I think most processors have a 3-year warranty. Could be wrong, but 1-year warranty just seems kind of. I don't know.
Yeah, seems a little short. Let's see here.
Yeah. But it's, like I said, it's going to perform better than a 9900K. If you're buying right now, you might as well get it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's $13 more. I don't know. But again, this is just like the NVIDIA thing. This is like, we're putting on a product so we can say we have the world's best processor for gaming. You know what I mean?
Sure. Like, yeah. I mean,
that's all it really is. It's still 14 nanometer. And the thing is, if you're looking at a 39 right now, you're looking at a 39 or Ryzen 9 3900X or this, and you're purely gaming, get this.
Yeah.
But if you do anything else,
you want to start streaming, heavy threaded.
Yeah. Anything, if you're doing anything that's heavily threaded, why would you get an 8-core processor when you can get a 12-core processor for the same price?
Yeah.
That's going to perform better in all of those other applications. I can only recommend this chip if you are purely gaming, like you're 100% gamer, you're not doing anything else. But it just makes more sense to get the 3900X. I mean, it just does if you're doing anything else.
Yeah, and I did look like the boxed processors are usually a 3-year warranty. So
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they're doing 1 year because it's pretty limited on those chips that are actually going to be able to hit that. So they're back stock for having replacements. They're just not going to have as
Yeah.
much. Maybe I don't know. That kind of stinks having only a 1 year warranty.
And from what I've seen, I mean, if you want to overclock this thing, it gets hot, just like the 9900K did. Yeah, so like it's just a product that I mean, I guess it's cool, right? But it doesn't provide. It's not like they put out a product that's like gonna like that crush the 9900K, right?
Right.
I mean, it's not necessarily. It's a PR. It's a marketing and PR product. It's not like a true enthusiast product, in my opinion. So I don't know. It's a disappointing week for me, I feel.
Man.
When it comes to releases. But Intel did and is doing something that is nice. If you are looking to get into the high-end desktop space, they are cutting prices of 9th gen Skylake by 50%. So if you were looking to get, Skylake X 9th generation high-end desktop processors, they're being cut across the board. This is, of course, to make way for the newer Cascade Lake X stuff. This just allows you to really get an awesome high-end desktop processor for very cheap. They want to get these things out of there.
Yep. I think this. I'm glad to see this, but I think it should have come a long time ago. It's pretty much as soon as they announced those next gen parts. I think this price drop should have come fairly soon after that, because it's just felt. It's kind of left a bad taste, in my opinion, for all those people that had bought the 9th gen or were looking to buy one, and just, seeing that price to performance difference between the two. I think that should have come a lot sooner, but it's good to see.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, if they didn't do it, it kind of like, why would you buy it? Why would you even buy these?
You wouldn't.
Right? Yeah. You wouldn't buy them at all. So yeah, it's like I said, it's good to see. If you're looking to do Intel high-end desktop, you can definitely pick. They're going to even probably be lower than that, because I know a lot of people want to get, like, a lot of retailers just want these things gone and they have to sell them. So they're going to be some pretty hefty discounts.
Right.
So I would look out for those if that's what you're. And the thing that you have to keep in mind is that the IPC is going to be identical between 9th and 10th generation. It's the same chip, essentially. So keep that in mind too if you're looking to do something like that. But yeah, so on to more NVIDIA stuff, and they actually upgraded a product that we don't think when you think streaming media player, does NVIDIA come to mind? I don't think.
I always forget that they have this product, honestly.
Yeah,
I don't use one. I don't even know anybody personally that has one.
I think it's because they are decently expensive, and like on Prime Day, you can get the 4K Fire TV stick for like $30.
Yeah.
And for most people, they don't need the horsepower that the Shield TVs have. But NVIDIA did upgrade their Shield TVs. They have two versions now. They have a Shield TV, which is a smaller one right here. And then they have the Shield TV Pro. They both have been upgraded. They run the new Tegra X1 processor. This is basically like one of the best performance-wise streaming media players you'll find. Another thing that's great about this is that if you do connect it via Ethernet and you have a GeForce graphics card, you can stream your game to your TV with I don't think there's any latency. I haven't used that feature ever or even tested it like at CES, but
that's cool.
I heard it works really well. So if you're playing a game, then you don't want to sit in front of your monitor all the time. Maybe you can do that, and it's since these have such high performance. Like even with my I have like a new 4K streaming the Amazon one, and sometimes it just like lags a little bit. It's just how those products are. This you're not going to see any of that. It's a very high performance media player. So this one, the smaller one, I believe is 129. I believe that's the difference. Let's see here. I'll bring up the page so we can see. But yeah, I believe the smaller one is it's 149. So that's still pretty expensive for a streaming media player. And then the Pro is 199.
Very odd form factor too on that tube one.
Yeah, because I initially thought that like this tube thing would plug in, just like it would be like the Fire TV stick, like it would plug in, but it doesn't. It just sits there.
Yep.
It's not. But one thing that's nice about these that you won't get with some of the other ones, especially this one in this form factor, is that it does have an Ethernet port, which we all know.
You don't have to rely on,
you
that'd be nice.
Rely on Wi-Fi, which is a good thing. The remote's a little odd though because it's like this triangular
shape.
Yeah, and but yeah, if you're into streaming media and you want like pretty much the best streaming media player that there is, I would say. And if you have a GeForce graphics card, it totally makes sense to get one of these just for the fact that you can play your
they'll pair up so nicely. Yeah,
they'll pair up nicely and all that kind of stuff. So check them out. Have been upgraded. Wasn't a big announcement at all. I don't think. Again, not a lot of people even know NVIDIA actually makes these products. And they're actually really good. Like I've got a demo of these, and they're very, very good. So, so they're like I said, they're really awesome products. But yeah. Anyways, back to more news. One last thing of hardware news before we get to gaming is that EK unveiled their EK Classic distribution plate for the Lian Li PC O11D. I love to see this now because previously,
this case is great.
One, this case is really great. Two, you had to like get these custom made. Not a lot of companies were making these, but now they have this distribution plate with the built-in pump here that goes on the front of the case. So if you were looking to do a water cooling build, you don't have to worry about like, oh, will this fit? Will this fit? Like it's specifically made for this case, which is really awesome. So yeah,
I think these are gonna have to grow on me. The distribution plates. I'm not a huge fan of them. I do think it looks really good there in that image.
Yeah,
but I definitely see their value, and
I just think for a lot of people, like they want to get into water cooling, they might know how to do the custom tubing and the hard tubing, but like getting one of these made, and if you're in an area where like you can't get this made, you need to, or you can't make it yourself. You're not like, that's not part of your repertoire. Having this, just allows you to just order a piece and then you're good to go, especially if you want that look. I think I like the distribution plates. I just think that they just add, a lot to a build. So this one is just under $200. So it's not,
I guess it has a pump as well, right?
Has a pump and everything like that. And it is big. I mean, this is a big case. It's not a small case by any means. Yeah. The front of it, at least, where this is going to be. So yeah. So check that one out. And then our last piece of news, which is really interesting. And I saw it and I was like, really? It looks like a little odd. It looks like EA will be going back to Steam. So for those who don't know, who don't play EA games, and I don't fault you for not. Back in, when was that? 2011.
Yep, 2011.
They completely removed all of their games from Steam, and of course started Origin. So if you play any EA games, any of the Star Wars games, any Battlefield, if you play Apex Legends, you have to install Origin to play any of those games. And when it first started, everybody was all up in arms and they said Origin sucked, and it did. And it's still not the best platform. I don't think any of these other launchers are ever going to be as good as Steam.
No, the fragmentation just is frustrating altogether. So
the closest one is, I think Epic Games is the one who's like trying the hardest, right? To be like in a Steam equivalent.
They've got a ways to go as well.
Yeah, they have a long ways to go. I mean, they're relatively new, but I mean, Origin has been around since 2011, and I always knew like when I'm buying an EA game, like I have to do it with Origin. But for some reason, they're moving all their games back to Steam. I don't know if
Now, is it everything coming back or just select titles?
I don't know. They haven't made it clear. What they did make clear was the first game, the first EA game to be on Steam will be the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which comes out November 15th. It will be available on Steam. I think maybe EA is like seeing the blowback that the Epic Game Store has got, and it's like, well, if we put our stuff on Steam, people will like us and stop making memes about us. You know, like I just don't. I like you spent all this money and you have
developing Origin and the infrastructure to run it.
Infrastructure to run it, and like they didn't make it clear like what's going to happen to Origin. Like, is it still going to be there? Are you?
I doubt they're just dropping it.
Yeah,
right?
Are you going to phase it out? And the other thing they did announce is that their EA Access will be available on Steam. So that's a monthly subscription that gives you access to a bunch of games. And the thing is, they already have Origin Access. It's kind of the same deal. So I don't know if this was just like a PR thing for EA Access to say EA Access is the only subscription service available on Steam, because it will be, I guess, the only subscription service available on Steam. But I just don't. I just don't get it. I just don't. You have the infrastructure already. It's good. I mean, it's not like it's bad. It doesn't have all the features that Steam does, but my games download fast. It launches fine. I don't have issues.
Yeah. I mean, I know I have some friends that like have sworn off of EA and will not buy a game on Origin or anything like that. And this may be enough for them to be like, well, I'll buy it on Steam, but I'm not, that's the only way I'm going to support EA, right? They may get some of those folks back.
Yeah, it's just like, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And like from either standpoint, I mean, I guess Steam doesn't like limit people from going on their platform, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, I think going forward, if a game is available on Origin or it's available on Steam, I'm going to get it on Steam, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think you would as well.
Yep.
So that's like, I guess it's a win-win for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Options.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of options. And I think that opens the thing up to like modding, right? Because isn't Steam really big for modding?
Yeah. I mean, depending on the game and developer. And so I don't know that that'll play into it as much, but yeah, you can find lots of mods for games on there a lot of times.
Yeah. And Old Man said all the microtransactions. Yeah, that would be interesting to see how microtransactions are set up through.
I think developers have hit enough road bumps lately with microtransactions. I think we're going to start seeing a little more fair.
I would think so. I think the market is really good too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the market's actually good where like they don't need to nickel and dime us for
right
that we want. And EA does have a pretty decent cash. I wouldn't call it a cash cow right now, but like Apex Legends is doing really good. They just announced that there's 70 million users and people are all buying skins just like with Fortnite. So they have some extra money, I would say. So very interesting. Cool. All this news this week is just like, I just don't see I don't see why we have a lot of these things, but I guess,
I'll just be interested to see if the games that I do have in Origin, you can move to Steam. Right?
I don't think you're going to be able to.
Probably not.
Yeah, probably.
All my Command and Conquers I've got, and
all that stuff. And like, how's like, EA has like the On the House program where they give you a free game like every 8 months.
Yeah.
Like, what's that like? Is that gonna be on like? Is that gonna run through Steam too, or is it like gonna
exclusive to their launcher?
Like even in their blog post, there was like not a lot of questions were answered. All they basically said is like our titles will eventually be on Steam. EA Access will eventually be on Steam. Our first game that will be on Steam is the Star Wars game, the Jedi Force or whatever it's called. That's going to be on November 15th, and that's all we know right now. So yeah, coming into next week, we have some cool products. So I'm taking a look at another graphics card. It's been every week I've been doing a graphics card. I'll be taking a look at if Sapphire's website ever loads, the Sapphire Nitro Radeon RX 5700 XT. This is a higher tier than the other Sapphire card that we reviewed. Well, their website really is just not loading. So,
waiting.
yeah. Oh, there it goes. Finally. So here it is. So this is our Nitro Plus RX 5700 XT. Higher overclock than the previous version. More RGB accents right here. Triple fan cooling solution. I'll be taking a look at that. It does look. See, here's the thing I don't like about this card. Why don't you extend that?
I think it is. It's just like a cutout, right?
Yeah, but
to allow some passive airflow, maybe, right? I don't know. It looks weird.
Yeah. So I'll be taking a look at this card. So if you're into RX 5700 XTs, we did do the Tai Chi card last week. So we have the Nitro Plus from Sapphire this week. And then I'll also be taking a look at a set of, I talked about it when we were talking about the Crosshair 8 Hero, is because I needed a board that could support this. I'll be taking a look at the Viper Steel DDR4. It's the DDR4 4400 kit. So it runs at 4400 megahertz stock. And one thing I really like about this memory is, one, it's super sexy, but it has no RGB lighting. So if you're not an RGB fan, this is definitely a kit for you. Yeah. It has like this gunmetal finish that looks awesome. Again, as I said, we have the 4400 kit, but it's available in a ton of different frequencies. But yeah, so really excited to take a look at this. And then you'll be taking a look at a headset. You have the headset on, do you not?
I do.
So let's bring you up. Let's see if we can.
Yeah, the Corsair Virtuoso RGB. Oh, you clicked away from it. The name's so long. The RGB wireless SE headset.
Yeah. So this is like their new I guess you would call this their higher end headset. Now, are they like really targeting this towards? Oh, I thought there was a bug. Are they really targeting this towards more audiophile? Because it doesn't look like a traditional gaming.
I don't think so. I mean, it has their. I wouldn't say it's gamed or geared towards audiophile. It's still a gaming headset for sure. I mean, it does allow for like the microphone. You see that boom there? Like it's removable, which is nice. Like I've got it off right now, so it's not in the way, or I don't have to have it bent up out to the side. It is a better sounding microphone though than some of their previous headsets, so I do appreciate that.
Nice.
Nice aluminum body to it as well.
It doesn't look like a traditional Corsair gaming headset. That's why I was asking. Now, I am reading here. It does use their Slipstream wireless. So
does.
That's their 2.4 gigahertz wireless.
Right. It's got wired connectivity as well. USB and your standard audio jacks as well. But yeah, like the look between like a Void RGB that I've was my previous favorite headset and may still be my favorite headset. But this one's much sleeker and doesn't scream gamer.
I kind of like it. And I feel that is it Bluetooth as well or no?
No.
Okay. Because I was going to say this could be the way it looks like something that like I would wear like walking around town or something.
Yeah. I wish it was. I wish I had Bluetooth. That would be pretty nice. So pair to my phone and just throw on and
yeah.
Yep.
Like I said, it looks nice.
Yep,
but we'll see. So that is what we have coming up next week. This brings us to the end of the podcast. We talk about if we've done anything tech related, saw anything tech related. Did you do anything this week?
No, I think let's see here. We recorded on Thursday last week, so I think I had just gotten my Pixel 4. Yeah. So I've had it for a week. I don't know. It's fine. It's great. It's better than the Pixel XL that I had. Yeah. Past that though, I mean, I don't even know if I've played any games.
I haven't, and like I wanted to play the Apex Legends, their Halloween event.
Yeah,
I haven't even touched it. I haven't done anything. Only thing is that I did talk. Did I talk about the iPad Pro last week?
Yes, you had gotten it, but you had your mishap with Amazon shipping.
Yeah, so I finally they refunded me for the keyboard that never showed up. And then I just reordered it and it actually showed up this time. So I've been using that. I wrote the entire which review there? I wrote the entire graphics card review this week on it. which was a pretty enjoyable experience. It's a little, there are some things like the mouse support is backwards for so like the scrolling. So when I scroll,
Oh yeah,
like, so that's something, but it's not that big of a deal, right? But
you
it's
just got to get used to it.
gotta get used to it. And I do really like it is that like I got like the higher storage version, so I got like the 256 gig, and you think like 256 gig, that's like nothing, right? But like I do have Dropbox, I do have Google Google Drive. So like even now, even before I got it, like all the review photos and stuff, when I'm like writing a review, are in there already. So what Apple has done, which I think is really cool, especially for a device like this, is like when you go to upload a photo or like, you know, in WordPress or whatever, it actually shows all of your all of your cloud drive.
Oh, those providers, yeah.
Yeah. So then when you click it, it downloads it, I assume, to cache and then uploads it, but it never gets stored. Like it doesn't store. You don't have to
You're
have
the middleman for a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Basically, you're the middleman, so you're not taking up a ton of storage, which I really like. So I like I said, I know you made fun of me for thinking it's going to be a laptop replacement, but for email, for writing reviews, for stuff like that, I think it can work. But I need to test it more, obviously.
Yeah.
And there is a really great video editor that I might want to get for it, but I don't even know if I'm really going to like have to edit video on it. I don't think. I don't know. But so far, I really like it. It's been a solid purchase, and I've done a lot more reading because of it too. So I have my Kindle app on there, and I've done a lot more reading since I got it too. So
cool.
Pretty pumped about that. But that is it, guys. We will end things here. If you didn't see it, we do have our show notes page, which I'll bring up here. That is linked in the description below, but it's just in the podcast section on the website. You can see our show notes that has everything that we talked about, so you can go ahead and click through and, you know, see even more information on all the reviews and articles and everything like that we talked about. If you're looking for us on your favorite podcasting app or software, it's just ThinkComputers, all one word. So until next week, catch you guys later.